During the pandemic, I decided I was going to try to ride mountain bikes. And I had a buddy with an e-bike, and it's like a cheat code because you don't have to be in great shape, and you can ride up tremendously large mountains and then rip down them. And there was something, I was having so much fun. Let me tell you, you basically don't have to work to get up the hill, and then you can fly down the hill, and it is extravagantly fun, especially when it's not even your bike. So he's maintaining it, and I'm just showing up with him when we're going mountain biking. Well, one time, I started getting really confident, and if you know, again, the long ride up the electronically assisted mountain, but up at the top, by the end of the day, you're a little bit worn out, but you're also feeling a little bit confident. Have you ever been there before? Maybe it's when you're like skiing or snowboarding, or just after a long day, like you're on the downward slope, but you're still like, your confidence is at a 10, but your fatigue is also at a 10, and so you're cruising. Well, I'm on the mountain bike. I am absolutely ripping down the hill, 25, 30 miles an hour, and I'm just having a blast. And then all of a sudden, something happened. I don't exactly know. Here's what I do know. My shoes were completely somewhere else. I went head over heels. I broke my friend's e-bike. I lost my shoes, and I had a raspberry the entire length of my back, and it was not fun, let me tell you. In fact, he had to ride his bike out because the electronic assist was broken and I was not very strong. But I think about this, and like this is actually kind of what happened with Peter. Because as we're going through verse by verse, we got to see last week, Peter, he's on at a 10 in confidence because he nails it. He goes, Jesus, you are the Christ. You are the Son of the living God. And he's like, and Jesus is like, blessed are you, buddy, you get it. This week, Peter eats it. He is head over heels, like he forgets. He misses it. And so we get to see, and this is the long suffering that God has for us, the love that God has for us, that he's absolutely at work in our lives when we get it and then when we miss it. And so today we get to see this glimpse of what the big idea of today's text really is. To wholeheartedly follow Jesus is costly to him and to us. But it's also the place where we find the fullness of life. So as we read into it, here's what we see. I'm going to go here first. From that time, Jesus began to show his disciples. From what time? Right after Jesus goes, this is a great, huge transition. But from that time, Jesus began to show his disciples he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things from the elders and chief priests and scribes and be killed, and on the third day be raised. Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him, saying, far be it from you, Lord, this shall never happen to you. But he turned and said to Peter, get behind me, Satan. You're a hindrance for me, for you're not setting your mind on the things of God, but on the things of man. And then Jesus told his disciples, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever would save his life will lose it. Whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. For what will it profit a man if he gains the whole world but forfeits his soul? Or what shall a man give in return for his soul? For the Son of Man is going to come with his angels in the glory of his Father, and then he will repay each person according to what he has done. Truly I say to you, there are some standing here who will not taste death until they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. Hey, I heard a 9:38 alarm. That is awesome. I don't know who that was, but if you don't know what the 9:38 alarm is, we have this little thing. There's stickers. What are you inviting me to? If you want a sticker, it says, what are you inviting me today, God? It's really just this idea of we get to join God where he's at work. And so you can throw this on the back of your phone and set a 9:38 alarm and remind you that, hey, we get to be living proof of this God who loves us. So yeah, that was not actually, that's going to happen every week now because our church starts at 9 a.m. Anyway, so let's go back. Let me pray, and then we'll dig into the word today. Jesus, thank you. Thank you that in you is life that's really life. Thank you that we find that when we try to preserve our own status quo, it leads us to all kinds of broken places. But when we yield our lives to you, we find joy and hope and freedom and life eternal. And you, who is the beautiful treasure of life. So Lord, I ask that you would speak through me today. In your precious and holy name, we all say. Amen. So, in the immediate context here, we just came out of Peter's confession, and what's funny is Peter has these expectations on Jesus, right? He's expecting, all right, it's go time, we're going to overthrow Rome. It's go time, there's going to be peace. It's go time. Peter's gotten to know Jesus over the last 3 years, and Peter's like, man, this is awesome. You're the Messiah, you're the Christ, you're the Son of the living God. And then all of a sudden, Jesus, he starts talking about he's going to die and suffer. And Peter's like, what is going on? That is not what I expected at all. In fact, this is the beautiful thing we get to see of Peter, where he goes, Jesus said to him, follow me, and I'll make you fishers of men. And immediately they left their nets and followed him. And then in Matthew 19, we're looking ahead, Peter gets to say in reply, see, we've left everything and followed you. Then what do we have? Because it's worth it. The wholeheartedly following Jesus is costly to him and to us, but it's also where we find life. And so as we start unpacking each of these verses, we see the cross is essential. Next, we see that good intentions with faulty understanding lead us into weird places. And then we discover the secret to really living, especially when we know the final score, when all is done. And so as we read through this, we see that the cross is perfectly essential. It's essential part because, first, the word that Jesus uses here is he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things from the elders and the chief priests and the scribes, and be killed, and on the third day be raised. What's interesting, Jesus is saying this must happen. We don't get salvation without this happening. And yet what's interesting is it's a path that we all have a natural tendency to resist, right? No, suffering? That's not at all, right? That's not what you need to do. We don't need to go there. But it's this path that we resist, and yet Jesus says we must go to Jerusalem. He must go to Jerusalem, suffer many things from the elders and the chief priests and the scribes. And man, when Peter's hearing this and the disciples are hearing this, they're going, wait, the elders, the chief priests, the scribes? He's got to suffer many things from them and be, killed? They don't understand. What we have the perspective to be able to see from now, they don't have this perspective. In fact, Peter's like, I know you, Jesus. I've seen the miracles you've done. I've been walking with you for 3 years. I get that you have all authority. How on earth is this supposed to happen? But what's interesting is all of this was laid out from the very get-go. See, this was God's plan from the start, to rescue and redeem all of humanity. This is necessary. It was predicted in Psalm 53. In Isaiah 53, it says this. Again, this is written 600 years before Christ walks the face of the earth. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And as one from whom men hide their faces, he was despised, and we esteemed him not. This, 600 years before Jesus walked the face of the earth, was talking about the saving one that is to come. His name's Jesus. Surely he has borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we esteemed him stricken, smitten by God, and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions. I want to pause there for a second. Crucifixion wasn't even an idea when Isaiah wrote this down. Keeps going. He was crushed for our iniquities. Upon him was the chastisement that brought us peace, and with his wounds we are healed. All we are like sheep that have gone astray. We have turned every one to his own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed, he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth, like a lamb that is led to the slaughter. Like a sheep that before its shears is silent, so he opened not his mouth. By oppression and judgment he was taken away, and as for his generation, who considered that was cut off out of the land of the living, stricken for the transgression of my people. And they made his grave with the wicked, and with the rich man in his death. Jesus was buried in a rich man's tomb. All of this, 600 years, this is crazy stuff, right? And the cool thing is, from the very get-go, although he had done no violence and there was no deceit in his mouth, yet it was the will of the Lord to crush him. He has put him to grief when his soul makes an offering for guilt. He shall see his offspring, and he shall prolong his days. The will of the Lord shall prosper in his hand. Out of the anguish of his soul, he shall see and be satisfied. By his knowledge shall the righteous one, my servant, make many to be accounted righteous. That's us. And he shall bear our iniquities, their iniquities. Therefore I will divide him a portion with the many, and he shall divide the spoil with the strong, because he poured out his soul to death and was numbered with transgressions. Yet he bore the sin of many and makes intercession for the transgressors. You guys, this is Jesus. Anticipated for 600 years. It's so clear, and yet, again, I'm slow. Maybe you're slow. Peter's a little slow too. So we're all in good company here. But the beauty of it is this, that God had this mapped out from the very get-go. He's like, hey, I realize what I'm going to do. I'm going to rescue and redeem you. See, the cross is 100% essential. Why is it essential? First, there's a consequence of sin. All of us have chosen, like sheep, to go our own way. And sheep aren't very smart. And I'm sorry if you take offense to that. I'm also not very smart. But the beauty of it is that God is, in the same way that Jesus affirmed that Peter's like, you're the Christ, you're the Son of God. He's like, great, you're blessed because God revealed that to you. And guess what? God's revealed it to me, and I hope he's revealed it to you, that the Messiah has come. God incarnate has come and made a way for us to be made righteous, not of our actions, but of his. And so this essential cross happens where Peter hears it for the first time, and he's going, whoa, Jesus, no, come on, no, you're not going to do that. But God's justice requires sin to be dealt with fully. There's a consequence to sin. God's holy and righteous and set apart. And in him there is no sin. So we, unless we've been made right with him, have no ability to go into his presence. We just don't. But God's love means that he bears the judgment for us. The judgment that we are deserved, man, I've screwed up. All of us have screwed up. Yet the judgment that was meant for me was given to Jesus. And this is what Peter, in this frame of reference, does not get. He doesn't understand. He maybe knows Isaiah, but he doesn't recognize that the Messiah, who's supposed to establish the kingdom, is also supposed to suffer and die. He's confused. But Jesus is making it abundantly clear that the cross is essential. See, in the cross is justice satisfied, love revealed, and scripture fulfilled. Why did Jesus have to do it this way? It's really the only way that God could both punish sin and show mercy at the same time. The cross fulfilled scripture, and he satisfied God's wrath. See, the weight of this is essentially that the cross is not plan B. It's the center of Jesus' mission. The cross is where we discover both compassion and no compromise. And we bristle at the pain. We just say, it can't be that way. See, but we get to see this glimpse. He's not here. He's risen. Remember how he told you he was still in Galilee, that the Son of Man must be delivered. This is the best part. Jesus is telling Peter in advance what's going to go down, so that when it goes down, Peter doesn't get discouraged. Right? He's going, this is what's going to happen, Peter, and this is what happens after the fact. They're looking back, and they're going, oh, remember what he said? The Son of Man has to be delivered in the hands of sinful men and be crucified, and on the third day rise. And they remembered his words. Oh, finally. They remembered his words. May we remember his words, because he said, in remembrance of me, when he's unpacking communion. Do this in remembrance of me. You see, so Peter had good intentions. We see the good intentions of Peter. He's going, Jesus, wait, what? No. You're the Messiah. You're going to be overthrowing Rome, and we're going to rule together, the 12 of us and you, or we're going to take them down. Peter, so much as he pulls Jesus aside, he takes it aside, and he goes, he began to rebuke him. God incarnate. Peter's going to be like, you got this wrong, Jesus. That's not how it's done here. He goes, far be it from you, Lord. This shall never happen to you. Jesus' response to him was kind of strong. But he turned and said to Peter, "Get behind me, Satan. You're a hindrance to me. You're not setting your mind on the things of God, but on the things of man." Man, this is interesting. Because actually, Peter is kind of copying Satan at the very beginning of Matthew. Trying to tempt Jesus. Hey, you know what? If you just do this, I'm just going to give up. I'll let you do whatever you want to do. You don't have to do it your way. See, Satan actually knows that there's only way, there's a plan that God has. And Satan's trying to thwart it however he can. He's like, you're a stumbling block, Peter. You're not setting your mind on the things of God, but the things of man. See, what's interesting is it's not really a personal insult, but it's really theological exposure. See, Peter kind of got a little overconfident. Same way I got a little overconfident on my mountain bike. I should not have been going that fast, and I hadn't earned it anyway. But the reality is that Peter got a little ahead of himself. And so Jesus is setting him straight. He's saying, you can't take the crown without the cross. I have a plan. And it involves sacrifice. It involves pain. It involves brokenness. But I am the one that is going to do it for you. See, why is it so severe? Because Peter's trying to drive the car. He's trying to lead Jesus. And really, at the bottom line, it's kind of arrogance. Because he thinks that he's outfought Jesus. Like, Jesus, no. That's not how this is going to work. But ultimately, he's just resisting God's plan. See, any Messiah without suffering is a false Messiah. And imagine this, if there was another way for God to redeem all of humanity, would he be good if he killed his son? This is the only way. This is the only way for all of us to be rescued and redeemed. He knew this is the only way for it to happen. And God is good. So, we can't misunderstand the cross if we resist it. Why? Because here's why we resist it ultimately. We really like to be on the throne of our lives. We really like to be in charge. But the cross dethrones ourselves. And the cross dismantles control. And the cross kills self-righteous projects where we think we're earning God's favor. The cross is the ultimate leveling field that Jesus is saying, I am who I say I am. See, for us, we try to make Jesus into our own image. Right? There are times when we start to think about Jesus like, I want Jesus, but without the disruption. Right? I want Jesus. I want his mercy. I want his love, but I just don't want to be uncomfortable. I want Jesus, but he's really useful. He's got a lot of wisdom, but I just really want him to support my goals so I can get my hope and my will done. Or we start to turn Jesus into just, there's no real loss involved. But the reality of it is that good motives become dangerous when we resist God's way. See, we don't reject religion when we redesign God into our image. Jesus' way always exposes false ideas of what worship really is. See, the strongest rebuke that Jesus gives is not to his enemies, but to one of his 12. Because he loves him so dearly. See, the fact is that Jesus now invites Peter into life that's really life. And this is what he says.
9:53 a.m.
God's better is better. When he says to Peter, get behind me, Satan, he's really saying, deny yourself. He says to Peter, you're a hindrance. His invitation is then to take up your cross. And your mind is not on the things of God. He's going, just follow me. There's this freedom and joy to this of just going, in Christ is life that's really life, and then I can follow him. See, the secret to really living, he tells his disciples, hey, if you want to come after me, if you want to follow me, you just got to deny yourself. Take up your cross and follow me. For whoever would save his life will lose it. But whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. For what will it profit the man if he gains the whole world but forfeits his soul? Or what shall a man give in return for his soul? What kind of Messiah is this? What kind of disciples that get to follow him? He is a good God. A God that is going, you want life that's really life? Stop settling for lesser joys in this world. Lesser joys of saying, oh man, if I just have the right success, or if my family looks a certain way, or if my health is here, like all of these lesser joys instead of like, oh God, you're at work and I just want to see you at work. I want to see your glory on display. That freedom in that we're going, man, it didn't cost me anything. Even though it cost me everything. See, it goes back to Matthew 13:44, the treasure hidden in the field is going, in his joy, he discovers this treasure. He goes, in his joy, sells everything he has that he could go and buy the field. In his joy. In his joy. In the joy set before him, Christ endured the cross. And the invitation is about following the affections of our heart and recognizing that this God of the universe is so gracious, so as to stand in the gap for us and be our propitiation. He is the person that exchanges himself for us because he loves us that much. That he would take up his cross for us. See, life is really life. It's not the call is to follow him relationally, personally. The person of God. And that's why we talk about R cubed here. Just this idea of, what did Jesus do? He just said, hey, you 12 guys, come follow me. Come see what I can do. Come witness my authority, witness my love, witness my compassion, witness all of me, and then I'm going to send you to go and be living proof of who I am. See, following him is all about this upside-down kingdom where we get to have our affections transformed by him. It's not a system, it's not a moral code, it's the person of Jesus Christ. And discipleship is really a relational movement of just walking with people, pointing people to Christ, encouraging one another, praying for one another, bearing one another's burdens. Like, this is us doing life together that's really life. And it's with a God that is at work well in advance of our awareness of his work. See, the secret to really living, we get to see what? Save his life. Whoever would save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. For what will it profit a man if he gains the whole world but forfeits his soul? Or what shall a man give in return for his soul? See, the shape of following is that we really just say, Jesus, the throne of my heart is yours. May you rule and reign in my life. May I find satisfaction in you and you alone. See, this upside-down kingdom, this backward, there's two ways to live. To save your life, you must lose it. See, that we have a strategy of control or approval, of security, of self-definition. And ultimately what that ends is in soul loss. But lose your life for Jesus, we find that surrender becomes discovery. Loss becomes gain. Death becomes the doorway to life. So there's this value question that's put in. What does it profit if you gain the whole world but lose your soul? What are you protecting at all costs? What's actually sitting on the throne of your heart? And not what, but who? Who have you established that's gone, this is the foundation of my life? See, there's this competition for joy. All of us are seeking out what we think is going to satisfy us. And we often will settle for lesser joys. We'll settle for control, thinking that we control the outcomes, thinking that we can control and manipulate all the things. Like, trust me, as a parent, I'm aware. You're like, I want to fix all the things, right? The reality is this, that just, when we think we can control, it leads to more anxiety. And when we desire comfort, and we just go, man, if I could just be comfortable, if I could just set systems in place where everything just functions as it should, and so I can just sit back and watch it roll, what is that happens is just stagnation. Or even the idea that we're just fighting for approval of people. I mean, the reality is I struggle with all three of these. But we start to think that, man, if I just have the approval of people, and so people become exhausted because they're under the weight of trying to perform. The diagnostic question really is, what are you building your life around? Because Jesus offers superior joy than all of those things. It's freedom from lesser masters, if you will. He's going, God, what are you inviting me into? God, you're at work. God, you're faithful. God, I don't know what you're doing, Lord. Lord, would you just lead me into trying to be faithful in every step? And I'm going to fail? Like Peter says, hey, Jesus, you're not going to do it that way. Get behind me, Satan. You're a stumbling block because I have to do this. See, there's this deep, lasting satisfaction in him that regardless of circumstances, whether in the hospital or struggling with relationships or worried about your finances, all of these things, like the lasting satisfaction comes from Christ, regardless of how those things are resolved or not resolved. It's the gap of just going, God's at work in the middle of it. See, joy is not removed, it's actually fulfilled. It's actually fulfilled. So we don't take up the cross because suffering is good, but we take up the cross because Jesus is better. And that actually in our suffering, we might get a greater glimpse of how he's at work shaping us, forming us, and at work in our lives. See, the core heart question is not, oh, what have I given up? But instead, it's, who's ruling my heart? Because when I'm living for myself, when I'm on my own throne, what it feels like is obedience feels like loss, right? Oh man, it's so hard. But when Christ rules, loss feels like gain. Like, okay, God, I don't know what you're doing, but you're doing something. And Lord, I just want to see a greater glimpse of who you are in this adventure, in this freedom, in this hope. So the invitation of Jesus in this life that's really life is knowing that the final score is his. His incredible mercy and his amazing grace. Because he says, for the Son of Man is going to come with his angels in the glory of his Father, and he'll repay each person according to what he's done. What's he done? Followed him. Truly I say to you, there are some standing here who will not taste death until they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. And guess what? Peter talks about that experience. We think, we don't know. Transfiguration? Maybe. Resurrection? Could be. Pentecost? Like, there's a lot of much smarter people than me that have argued this for what does that look like? I really think that's probably the transfiguration. Like, Peter gets to see Jesus. We're not there yet. We're going to get there. But we get to see this, that there are people that are not going to taste death until they see this Son of Man coming in his kingdom. So the final score, what does this matter? When Jesus sits on the throne of our hearts, this reward that comes in seeing the coming King and the final evaluation that the Son of Man returns in glory. He'll repay each according to what he has done, and the invitation of what we're to do is just to follow him. So if you come with me, deny yourself. Follow me. See, grace saves us. It's his unmerited favor for us that we get to live out. And we get to see the glory of God, this God that is so holy and righteous and has made a way because he loves us that dearly. See, there's some implications to this. See, that Jesus endured the cross for the joy set before him. Again, it said, for the joy set before him, Jesus endured the cross. Why? Because, mothers, you know, it's for your joy that you sacrifice, right? It's for your joy that you care for your kids. It's for your joy that you get to endure hardship for your children because you love them. It's for Jesus' joy that he went to the cross because he loves us that dearly. See, we endure the cross because of the joy set before us. Reward is not just things from Jesus. It's ultimately Jesus himself revealed and enjoyed. See, every act of obedience is seen, but nothing done in faith is wasted. And the King, man, he loves us dearly. We get to wholeheartedly follow Jesus. So as we reflect on this passage today, there's some implications, and this is my first question for all of us, myself included. What are we chasing? Are we gaining the world but losing our soul? Or are we losing the world and gaining our soul? Where are our minds focused? Are they focused on the pragmatic realities before us where Peter's going, Jesus, no, we're not going to do it that way? Or are we focused on saying, God, if that's what you have for us, that's what you have for us. Today, as you celebrate Mother's Day, slow it down a little bit. Embrace it. It's all about being present with God and overachieving for Him. He's got great plans. He's working. But the reality is, it's all about being His kid and not about doing. He's the shepherd that leads us by still waters and restores our souls. And the invitation for each one of us is simply this: follow me. Where are we going? I don't know. But we get to follow the living God, the God of the universe that knit this world together, that knit us together and knows us and loves us. So today, He's just inviting you. Follow me. Follow me wherever I lead you. Let's worship Him together.